Hey, Veritas, thanks for your video. I'm going to try another response video. Hopefully it'll upload this time. I'm going to read what I commented under your video, and I'm going to try to clarify a few things, just in case it's a little too vague or whatever. But first of all, don't be worried about offending me or anything. As far as I'm concerned, we're exchanging ideas. I put my ideas on YouTube for them to be criticized, harshly if needed. I'm trying to learn something, so please don't go easy on me and don't feel like you're offending me. These aren't personal conversations, or at least I would hope we're not trying to personally attack one another. I know you're not, obviously not. We're exchanging and working on ideas. Um, so don't worry about offending me. You haven't. I'm glad that you posted a critical response. So um, let me see what I said. Okay, I said I'm not saying consciousness is everything. Google pantheism and panentheism and study the difference between them. They are not the same. What I'm saying is a form of panentheism, that every holon is an occasion of experience rather than just a particle in motion determined by its environment. I'll explain those terms in a minute. Um, a holon is another term you can Google, but it just means whole part. A single entity that is both a whole, it has its own autonomous unity, and it's a part of a larger autonomous unity at the same time. You can think of this like it's like the fractal nature of reality. There's no beginning or ending. You just go smaller and smaller and smaller and find, smaller and smaller particles or unities or holons, and you zoom out and find larger and larger holons or whole parts. Like the planet, the solar system, the galaxy, and so forth. Um, so every whole part or holon is an occasion of conscious experience. Most of this comes out of A.N. Whitehead's process philosophy, which was trying to transition us from an ontology based on separate things interacting in empty space to an ontology of events, or as he called it, occasions of experience. Um, Whitehead wanted to do this in response to relativity and quantum theories, because the 17th century mechanistic picture we had of the physical world just no longer adequately explained what we were observing. Um, so again, it's not that consciousness is everything, but that consciousness is in everything, or at least every holon. Um, the difference is that we can make distinctions between the consciousness in a rock and the consciousness in a living organism. This is done using the holon model, where autonomous unities like atoms, molecules, cells, bodies, the galaxy even, um, autonomous unities are distinguished from mere aggregates of holons, like rocks, or just piles of atoms with no larger organization. Um, and that rocks are not new emergent unities. So a holon, an autonomous unity, is different from an aggregate of holons, um, like rocks, in that rocks are not new emergent unities, but just an unorganized collection of smaller unities. So it's not as woolly-headed as you think. We can still make lots of distinctions and understand in great detail how different systems relate to other systems and so forth. Um, as far as us not even knowing what we mean by consciousness, and so being logically handicapped when it comes to trying to project it onto everything, I think we should return to our experience and have a look to see what we find. It is true that I can't know what my own mind is, as though it were some separate substance or entity, as Descartes assumed, but I can know what it does, how it interacts and communicates with itself, with others, with its environment, with nature, and when I recognize this, that I am essentially a process of relationship to my surroundings, um, and that my motion or my behavior is correlated with this feeling of doing and of being something or someone of experience, um, then I don't think it's as difficult as you think to see the same kind of doing or experience in all other holons, um, both those that exist within your own unity as a body and those that exist outside it. Now, about anthropomorphizing the behavior of subatomic particles and trying to use quantum physics to justify pan-experientialism or panentheism. I wasn't doing that. Like I said in a prior comment, I'm not saying that science proves pan-experientialism. I'm saying that knowing everything we know about the physical universe and all that science has revealed to us, pan-experientialism is still possible. And I think it makes more sense to assume pan-experientialism is true than to assume the standard mechanistic Cartesian materialism is true. Or even the updated version where the sole half of Descartes' dualism is dispensed with, and we just keep the mechanism. I think that is more prone to incoherence than pan-experientialism is, because, like I've been trying to say, I don't see how objectively existing physical parts with no insides, no interiority, no experience could just, as a matter of quantity or complexity, all of a sudden become something with interiority and experience. How do we make that leap? I don't understand how it's possible. We can just say, oh, evolution did it. But what does that mean, really? Explain it to me, and I may be convinced. But until I hear an explanation that convinces me, I assume pan-experientialism is more coherent as an explanation for what science has shown us than materialism is. Even though pan-experientialism is still a form of materialism. As I said, it's not an idealistic pantheism where everything is God, everything is consciousness, it's all the same thing. It's all the same stuff. No, panentheism is actually a form of materialism. Mind is in matter, but matter is very real. It's out there. It's not just a projection of my consciousness. It's there. We have to deal with it. But it has inherently mental qualities. So, about anthropomorphizing the behavior of subatomic particles, I do not, and won't ever have a PhD in quantum physics. I'm not very good at math, but I do think I understand the wave equation and the theory behind its application. You say it's incorrect to assume the electron chooses when to appear as a particle and when as a wave, or which slit to pass through in the double slit experiment, or whatever. I would agree that it is an assumption on my part, and an anthropomorphism, if you must. But so is saying it doesn't choose. So is saying atoms are determined, or subatomic particles are determined. So is that an anthropomorphism? Because as I was trying to point out in my original video, the objective approach to studying matter is not neutral. It is still a human attitude, and so still projects its own perspective onto the world it studies. So we run into the same issue here of anthropomorphism, whether we are seeing matter as inherently mental or conscious, or whether we're seeing it as just dead stuff. We're still projecting our attitude onto what it is we're studying. We can't escape that. So this is why I get kind of frustrated when someone says, oh, you're anthropomorphizing. We have to. That's how we know the world at all. We relate it to something we can understand. And I don't see this as a problem. Like I was saying in my first video, admitting objectivity is not a real possibility, that there is no intellectual soul that steps outside its experience and theorizes about the mechanism going on independently of it. No, we are the mechanism. We are the mechanism. Your conscious experience is inside this matter, right? I know that, and I'm not disputing that. I'm just saying it's inside all matter. It didn't just magically arise because this matter happened to get more complex. That's, assuming evolution could do that, could turn dead stuff into sentient experience, requires an ontological leap from one form of existence to another. And I don't understand how that gap could occur without a miracle. So I think pan-experientialism is more congruent with our modern understanding of science than is materialism, even though than standard materialism, even though panentheism is still it's a materialistic kind of philosophy. It's not an idealistic philosophy. So I'll leave it at that. Hopefully this uploads, and thanks again for your criticisms, and get back to me about what you think about my response. So take it easy.